Welcome to the Practice Podcast, a show created by lawyers to help lawyers in life and business without all the complicated lawyer language. Let's welcome Bast Amron founders and your hosts, Jeff Bast and Brett Amron.
Hi, Brett.
Hi, Jeff.
Welcome to the Practice Podcast.
Thank you.
All right, happy to have you
here. First time?
First time today. No, actually, it's not even the first time today.
No.
Brett, what's your favorite fruit?
Blueberries.
Blueberries. Nice. That's a good one.
But sometimes share with banana.
Blueberry and banana would be your
Strawberry.
top. Would you go with, is that your favorite smoothie too? Blueberry, banana, strawberry?
Oh, yeah. I have a.
That would be your combo?
I have a favorite. Yeah. I mean, I add some other.
You have a favorite smoothie too?
I make it
please.
myself.
Well,
Yeah,
what
I
is?
make it
Tell
myself.
us, please. Share.
Our guest is like, what did I sign up for?
He knew who we were.
Signed
He
up
knew.
for.
He probably would have predicted they're going to talk about
The
smoothies. or
smoothie.
some
So
other
he already
freaking-
came
some other
prepared with his
vegan-
favorite smoothie.
I actually wrote it on my
See?
palm.
There you go.
Right.
Now we know
right.
you're old.
Let's
Wrote
hear
it on
the
his palm
smoothie.
instead of putting his phone. So I banana, orange juice base.
Okay.
Throw some frozen blueberries in there. Throw a banana in there. Then I have these trio of seeds that Whole Foods sells in a bag: flax, chia,
Hemp.
and maybe hemp.
I don't know.
Yeah, it might be.
That's what
Is
I-
the third. And then I throw some frozen strawberries in there. And that's usually good enough for me. Like
Okay.
it's just a kind of a
Wait,
start to
is it in that order, literally, or
Yeah, because the
like you put
strawberries.
the strawberries in last, after the seeds?
and I have to put them. I blend it up a bit, and then I put the strawberries in a few at a time because otherwise they get stuck. They're so
the
big.
strawberries
and they're
get stuck in the
frozen.
blender.
They're frozen.
I was wondering about the order.
Yeah, it's the order.
Seeds and then the strawberries.
It's a fine art, man. It's a science.
It sounds like a science.
It's a science.
And is this a daily
No,
smoothie?
no.
Just what, weekends? I'm curious.
When I
you
celebrate-
pulled out a
when I
smoothie
celebrate.
recipe right away.
No, it's. I don't know.
Right.
I get it. I go on kicks, so sometimes I'll just
All right.
It's not heavy. It's not heavy. It's not a meal replacement.
Sounds nice.
So it's quenches the thirst, gets enough calories in you to kind of get you to a later after a good workout.
Yeah.
How about you, Mr.
like
Bass? I know you have one.
Favorite fruit or smoothie?
Well, let's go with the
Whatever.
favorite fruit first.
First of all, I love fruit. So I
Yeah.
never met a fruit I didn't like.
Yeah, depends on the time of year too, right? Like some fruits are better.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm going to go with mango. And during mango season, I always say, if you live in Florida, if you don't like during season, if you don't have mangoes right now, that means you don't have any friends with mango trees. Because
I don't have any friends.
I always have, right, exactly.
Right.
But I also, when I get mangoes, I cut them up and I save them like a squirrel, but in the freezer. And so I still have mangoes. Like I have containers of cut mango in my freezer so I can bust them out.
So
in the
mango is your
off-season.
favorite fruit.
I would say so, but pineapple. Love star
Cold,
fruit.
juicy pineapple.
Yeah, I love a passion fruit. Like to cut a fresh passion fruit. I love
Weird.
passion
You like the
fruit.
weird
I love
stuff.
fruits.
You like the odd fruits.
I like
not the common-
tropical
not the-
fruits, but I love berries.
because you're from
Blueberry is
Miami.
probably my
Blueberries so
go-to
good for your
fruit.
antioxidants.
And
Really
grapefruit.
good
I
for-
love a fresh
Oh, I
grapefruit.
don't like grapefruit.
I love grapefruit.
Watermelon in the summer, cold, juicy watermelon.
Watermelons
in the
could be
summer.
probably my least favorite
Really?
fruit. Yeah.
Wow.
I like it.
I think
but
our partnership
still
is
like
coming
it.
to an end.
I still like it. I'm not saying I don't.
think
but
it's. I think this is the end.
it's a high rank.
It's going to be over fruit. And smoothie? Do you make a mango smoothie? Do you make a mango
will make a
and
smoothie.
passion fruit smoothie?
I
Nobody
will-
drinks that.
I will make a smoothie, but I don't have a go-to. I have, I do the AG Athletic Greens.
course,
I do
yes.
AG1 every day.
Yes.
And so with that, I have AG1, creatine, and vegan protein powder, like pea protein.
Wow, that is
so
a
that's
heavy
like that's
smoothie.
my every single day.
Every
yeah.
day?
Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
morning?
you got to do it.
Before you
Yeah.
come in?
I try to
That's a heavy
make that my first
smoothie,
thing.
man. Wow.
It's not,
That's why
It's
you're
not
so.
a
Look
smoothie,
how
it's
big.
just-
You're so kind of.
and then I fill it with water, so I drink that a lot in the morning.
But that's like that's why you're so big. Like look at that. Look at the muscle.
Boom.
It's impressive.
There's no, for the listener at home,
I mean, we're going to put up a picture of Jeff. Actually, I just thought about it, of you in your security gear. Listen to the 200th episode. And without the shirt, though.
we're going to lose our guest.
Without
there.
the shirt. I think we might.
Our guest today is
He's never
Stephen
had more
Marino.
fun. He's never had more fun.
We're going to get to his favorite smoothie. Our guest is Stephen Marino. Stephen is the managing partner of Ploeg Marino in Miami. His practice focuses on first and third party insurance coverage and bad faith litigation. His background in engineering and architecture strengthens his ability to assess complex claims, analyze policy language, and work with experts in high-stakes coverage and regulatory matters. Stephen's also deeply engaged in the legal community. He's a past president of the Miami-Dade Justice Association, a longtime board member of the Florida Justice Association, a former governor of the American Association for Justice.
Wow. I'll step out.
He's also a member of the Justice League of America now, and he served for 12 years as chairman of the board of the Overtown Youth Center. His leadership in insurance law has earned him repeated recognition, including multiple listings in Best Lawyers of America. He's the best lawyer that we know. Welcome, Stephen.
I think I appreciate being here. Thank
Yeah.
you for inviting me.
He's getting a little like, oh
right.
man, what
So
did I do?
Do you have a favorite fruit you want to share?
Apples.
Was that apple? Yeah, apples.
I do love apples.
I do, yeah.
But I don't know. Apples are not.
See, I'm
What
not a
kind of apple?
I'm not a conditional guy.
Because there's so many.
Red
What kind of
Delicious.
apple? Red Delicious.
Red Delicious.
Really? Old
See, I'm
school.
not a conditional guy. It's like all year long, I like the same things.
Yeah.
Red Delicious apples.
My smoothie.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but notice you guys talked about smoothies for a long time.
please.
I sat here.
You couldn't help it.
And I sat here. Yeah. Calling us out.
Lock the door.
Protein shake.
Oh.
Like one of the
The pre-made
pre-made protein
shake.
shakes. Scoop of whey protein. Scoop of peanut butter powder with protein.
Nice.
Okay.
2 scoops, 10 milligrams creatine, and a teaspoon of flaxseed. And then half of, my son likes bananas. That's my second favorite, banana.
Okay.
But he
I
doesn't
like
always
you.
eat them before they start going brown. So when they start getting that way, I skin them and I put them in the freezer. I put in half a banana instead of ice cubes.
Yeah.
Blend it up.
That's how I. Yeah.
And that's my breakfast. That's after I exercise. I exercise before the sun comes up. and
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my breakfast. That
Nice.
gets me going.
Breakfast of champions.
So Red Delicious. Are there any other apples that you would enjoy?
You know, I'm not a big tart apple guy. I'm not a green apple or a Macintosh. My dad was a big Macintosh guy. I'm not a tart guy.
I like Macintosh. I like any apple.
We're not going to discriminate against any apple. We like
I'll
them
take
all.
any apple.
We like them all.
I forgot to mention-
Fuji's not bad, but if you ask me what I want first choice, it's Red Delicious.
Nice.
Fair. I appreciate the
I forgot to mention
simplicity.
the sumo oranges, which are a recent. I don't know if you guys eat sumo oranges, but they're super easy to peel.
Why are they called
And
sumo? Are they
It
big?
actually looks like
Are
a
they
little
big?
sumo. It's got a little.
It's like
The little head on it?
It's like a New Jersey orange where it's oversized and
What
odd
do you call
looking.
this thing? And what's the ponytail thing
bow?
on the top of your head?
I think it's a BAO maybe.
A bow? Okay, that thing.
That's a bun.
A bun. It's like literally looks like it has a little bun on it.
I think that's
it's
why they
very
call
easy
them-
to peel and
Does
super,
it
that's why
have
they
like
call
the
them
gear
bell
that they
buns.
wear? Like the
super tasty. I'm just thinking about how am I going to write the podcast description of this one.
Yeah, I don't
They
know.
talked about fruit and smoothies. Stephen,
Sir,
welcome.
thanks.
Thanks for coming in.
Why-
By the way, our listeners should know he's,
he looks dapper.
as always,
He
the
looks-
most dapper man
He's a
or
sharp-
individual in the room, as always.
He's a
Stephen
sharp-dressed
dresses always to the
Yeah,
nines.
I like it. I've seen him at the beach like this.
He's.
When he goes in the water with a suit and with a jacket and a pocket square.
I
and
mean,
everything. Anyway,
No,
all
it's
right.
true. No, I know you were being, but it's true.
He does. You do
He
look good.
always looks good,
And you look healthy,
he
too.
Always looks good.
Thanks.
Yeah, you look good.
I've been
I-
in the past couple of years that we've known each other.
Yeah.
I've gotten more healthy about.
I
Yeah.
would say that little smoothie regime is probably relatively new, like the last
Yeah.
couple of years, right?
It's a
Before that-
function, really, the last 6 months, a function of
Good.
of focusing more on diet and exercise.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, when I came in off the air, I think about you guys and some of the things we've talked about at our lunches, where there's a balance between the practice of law, which used to be 90 miles an hour, 18 hours of my day, and now sort of a health, family, work balance.
Nice.
Yep. Good.
Brett,
So-
my esteemed partner likes to call it harmony.
That's right.
That balance, he thinks that work-life balance is a misnomer. That's work-life harmony because it's not always in perfect
Right.
balance.
And I feel like harmony implies sort of a coordinated balance, and I don't think myself to be very coordinated.
No,
So
but it's
to me, I'm just hoping for both
Sure.
things not topple
Yeah.
each other over.
But right. So for
But
me,
it's not
harmony.
always-
Just the point of harmony is to say there may be days or maybe weeks or months where work needs the priority. You have a trial. You have to. That's the priority. You can bring along your personal, yourself, your family a bit and keep them going, but you have to focus for the time being on business. Then it snaps back right? So it's not going to be in balance.
Because balance would be 50-50, right? I mean,
in theory, right? So it's never really going to be 50-50.
Assuming the weights are the same.
Harmony.
Anyway,
and
that's my theory.
As a longtime musician, I understand the concept of harmony.
Yes.
I don't know that I do as good a job applying it to the interrelationship between family.
Oh, I'm not suggesting
and
that,
work.
that we're good at it.
Yeah.
I don't, that's why I don't think balance
I
is
think
really, that's my theory.
Being aware of it, being mindful toward it is probably the first two good steps.
Mindfulness.
That's
right.
There you go.
Can we talk very slowly and softly?
I'm going to let you guys go. I'm feeling this.
So,
I'm feeling this vibe.
Stephen.
Why are you a lawyer? Oh, I just jumped right in like there. Sorry. Please.
You've never done that before.
I do it all the time.
All the time.
That's why we have a whole show about it.
Why are you a lawyer? How'd you get here today? Not like,
my dad, God rest his soul, was a particle physicist. He was literally a rocket scientist.
Wow.
And he ran a cyclotron, which is a particle accelerator, for the government. And then that was bought by Columbia University. And so he worked for Columbia for a whole bunch of years. So I went to Columbia and I thought I'll be an engineer and study physics. And after about 2 years, I realized that's maybe a little dry for me. It needs to have more of a creative element to it. So I transitioned over and I ended up getting my degree in architecture with a minor in physics. And then I came down to South Florida because I figured that's where building.
Wait, was there a Florida connection at all? Or you grew up in New York, right?
I grew up in New York. Roommate from college, moved down here. His brother went to law school down here. I looked around and realized back in 1990 that really there was only two places where people were spending money on custom homes. And that's what I want to do. I want to do more discrete architectural projects, not get caught up in a building for 10 years for one project. So between Southern California and Southern Florida, I chose South Florida. Literally got on a motorcycle one day in November and drove down and got arrested along the way because state troopers in South Carolina have no sense of humor about excessive speed. I found that out.
So you got arrested?
Yeah, I spent a lovely half an hour.
South Carolina,
for reckless driving.
Yeah.
I
so
almost
you're
got
driving a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You're moving by motorcycle, which unconventional way to move.
I had a bunch of.
Did you have a sidecar or something?
No,
I
had a bunch of packs. I had a bunch of stuff packed on the back of the motorcycle.
Okay, and you get pulled over.
Well, actually, I pulled off to get gas, and there were troopers waiting for me. They had apparently been chasing me, and they couldn't catch up to me. So when I pulled off to get gas,
wait, hold on.
You're not going to be happy about that.
You hear this version of the events? They were apparently chasing me.
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
No, I didn't.
Really?
And you know, the trooper,
that's how fast he was going.
I had a big, solidly built trooper, and at least back then, they had a thing that said their name, and then it said served since. And so this was November of 90, and it said served since 1970. So I had a 20-year veteran, and he's hitching up his Sam Brown there, and he's poking me with his nightstick, and he's like, "Boy, you know how fast you were going?" And I said, "No, my speedometer stops at 85." And I wasn't trying to be funny. I was trying to be literal because I wasn't enjoying the whole handcuffed on the curb thing.
Oh wait, you're already handcuffed?
Oh yeah.
Wait, so
okay, so I'll back up.
Yeah,
I'll back up.
Guy.
I'm jumping in.
You get pulled. You're driving.
I'm going
cruising
south,
and you claim that you
95.
didn't know that there was.
If you let me,
please.
I'm going south on 95. Trying to get there as fast as I can. I get around D.C., I get hammered with rain. Now I'm through Virginia. I'm into North Carolina. It's getting cold. It's getting on toward, the middle of the day, late in the day. I start picking up the speed. Not really thinking through that it's I-95, it's 5 o'clock on a Friday, and I'm going through Sumter, South Carolina, along the dotted white line while cars are generally going more slowly and I'm going fast. And so I didn't know how fast I was going. I just knew it was more than 85 miles an hour. So that was a true statement. When the served since 1970 officer poked me again and asked me why I didn't see him, I said I was going rather fast and my side mirrors were vibrating a lot. I was really focusing on where I was going. Also, he wasn't amused.
You focus on safety.
Right.
Safety
so when I
first.
pull off to get gas, there's a trooper waiting and he comes pulling across and he stops and I get the, turn off the motorcycle, put your hands on your helmet. And I thought to myself, oh, this isn't going to be good.
No.
And then cars came flying up from different directions.
Oh,
and
boy.
They cuffed me and they searched all my stuff. And I asked questions like, I'm going south. I'm not coming north from Miami to New York. I'm going south. I'm moving. And there was a lot of
thought that was your defense.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, I'm not some drug runner, you're looking, but I am dressed all in black, head to toe. I have 2 layers of everything that are still a little bit wet. I just look like a mangy rat. And then the officer poked me one more time because he's asking me questions. I'm giving him honest answers about, where I was coming from, where I'm going, what I'm doing. And finally he asked me a very key question. I gave a very good answer. He said to me, "Boy, are you just about as stupid as I think you are?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And so as a result, he gave me a citation for reckless driving for $200. He asked me if I could pay the fine or if I had to go to jail. I said, "I have all the cash in the world is in my front left pocket. I can't reach it right now." He took my cash out, took $200 out, gave me a receipt. I figured that was all gone. But when I applied to the Florida bar, I had to disclose that. And I went back to Sumter, South Carolina for the records. And there was a citation, and there was the receipt, and there was everything done all by the books.
So you could pay your ticket on the spot in South Carolina?
Otherwise, back then, they're like, you can pay a ticket or you can go and sit in the jailhouse and wait.
Somebody pays it for you.
Someone pays it for you.
I've driven on that stretch a number of times.
But you haven't done what I did.
Not on a motorcycle.
But
I did get pulled over in North Carolina.
Once they finally released me.
Yes.
I started heading south. I was doing the speed limit.
Yeah.
I saw a sign that said Georgia 15 miles.
Yes.
I ramped it up again, came around a curve, and there was another trooper waiting for me, and I got pulled over again.
No way.
Yes. And he said to me, I saw him look down at his speed gun, look up at me, and I just pulled over. So he kind of lazily pulled out, crossed traffic, pulled up behind me. He said, I guess you were speeding again. I said, yeah.
Again?
He knew. How could he not know? You had 7 or 8 cars surrounding me. I mean, it was just
not a lot of activity.
It was just 20 minutes ago. I mean, it wasn't very long ago.
Steven.
So,
oh my goodness.
So he's like, yeah, I had a girlfriend in Virginia. I used to ride my bike up there all the time. I know it's so hard. Just do me a favor. And at least until you get to Georgia, just go slower. And he gave me another, like, doing 65 into 55 or something like that.
So it's
it was an expensive state for me.
I think is it 15? Oh, more than 15 over or 20
over.
So I got pulled over in North Carolina a year or 2 ago, speeding at like 5:30 in the morning, going north out of Raleigh-Durham. And guy pulled me over. It was very nice. I was talking to him, and he's like, how fast you're going? Of course, no, I don't know. He's like, you're going 84. He said, one more, and I would have to arrest you for reckless driving.
Ooh. It's to his discretion. He doesn't have to.
No, it's what he told me.
I know.
And I said, okay.
Thank you for rounding down.
And he wrote me a ticket. And as soon as I got where I was going, I went online, and as soon as it was available, I paid. Now you can pay it online, right? So
I didn't have that option.
Paid it.
Back in those days, there was no.
Back in those days, no.
There was no.
So 1 mile per hour. He was.
So I ended up making it from Manhattan to South Beach
in 10 minutes,
in 21 hours, including spending about an hour with the state troopers.
So 20 hours.
20 hours. I would have done it.
Okay, that's pretty. And then made pretty good time. You weren't speeding other than in South Carolina, though.
I was speeding everywhere. I was caught
in
in
South
Carolina.
I was giving. Come on, man.
I was supposed to be honest here. This is a room for honesty.
All right, let's get back to the topic.
Right, so literally, you're on a motorcycle. You move from New York.
Your dad was a physicist.
No, but he's moving.
So I came down to South Florida to kind of build custom homes. And after about a year and a half of that, I realized this is not. I started bartending again at night because the income wasn't great. Being
working as an architect, bartending at night.
Yeah, so I was like not sleeping 2 nights a week, just taking naps in between 2 jobs. And I said, this isn't really. I should figure out what I want to do. So I took all the different graduate records. I knew I wasn't going to med school, but I took my GREs and my GMATs and my LSATs and stuff like that. And
you took all those tests?
Yeah, in like a 2-week period.
Because you weren't sure what you wanted to
I'm a good test taker, so I don't study for tests. I just take them. It worked out pretty well. It always does. And I decided to go to law school. I picked law school instead of business school, and that was that.
Why?
Why?
Why'd you pick law?
I felt like it gave me more opportunity to be independently creative. I think I always knew that I wasn't going to be big firm material. I wasn't going to have a bunch of folks. Yeah. I mean, I dipped my toe in that early in my practice and realized how quickly I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And, I've had the privilege of working with my partner, Mr. Ploeg, since January 16th of 1997.
Wow.
So almost 29 years now. Yeah. And pretty much I can go 90 miles an hour with my hair on fire as long as I stayed in these boundaries, and no one was going to second guess what I did. And that kind of freedom, that serenity to be able to be intellectually creative, be my own person within the practice, but have an amazing mentor like Brenton to keep me on the straight and narrow. That has been a 3-decade privilege of mine, and that's what brings me here, figuratively and literally.
Amazing. And so, go ahead.
No.
Did you find your right path? Do you think you found
I did. And before I started law school, I had some friends who were lawyers who were giving me guidance. And before I started law school, I said, look, I was teaching high school for a year, physics and chemistry and physiology. School ends in June. I start in August. I said, I should probably start working for a law firm somewhere. Not knowing I was going to do something, but not really understanding the mechanics of it, just figuring out as I go along. And so one friend introduced me to these guys who had just split up from 2 bigger firms. And there's a sort of a weird small world aspect to that I'll get back to. And I went to them and said, okay, here's the offer. I'll come work for you for the month of July. I start school in August. I haven't started law school yet. I'll clerk for you for the month of July. If I'm terrible, don't pay me, but I'll put you on my resume as an internship or something. Say nice things about me and we'll all be friends. If I'm worth something, but you don't have much use for me after July, pay me what you think is fair. I'll put you on my resume. We'll all be friends. But if I add value, pay me what's fair, and I'll stay on until I stop adding value to the firm. And these guys, I guess, were intrigued enough to say okay, and I guess they were pleased with me enough to keep me on for like 2.5 years. And then I transitioned to a better paying, more, I thought, expansive opportunity with a kind of a mixed commercial firm. Saw some different stuff and stumbled into insurance practice. And in that context, I finished being a law student and became a lawyer. And during that time, we were representing the Village Homes of Country Walk in a Hurricane Andrew claim. And I discovered that I was really excited about suing insurance companies. I grew up not liking bullies, being on the wrong end of bullies. And I guess intellectually, I perceived that, the insurance industry with the financial and experiential wherewithal that it has, they're kind of bullies, and they kind of, in my perception, not all the time, obviously. I mean, 95% of everything is done right. I get the 5% that's not. But in the context of what I get, I feel like they're using their weight to their advantage, and I didn't like that. Okay. And here was my opportunity to kind of fight bullies and wear the white hat.
They make you buy their product and then they won't let you use it. No,
well, I mean,
you need it.
They had a great lobby, and so the government supports the idea that we need insurance for everything.
It makes sense.
If you have a car, that unless you own it outright, you have to have insurance, or at a minimum, you have to post, even if you own your car, you have to post financial responsibility. If you have a mortgage on your home, and most people do, you have to have insurance, So it's a necessary evil. It doesn't have to be an evil, but it's a necessary evil. And then since you're forced to do it, they sort of take advantage. Some states do a nice job with it, like Massachusetts regulates it.
It's a socialized service, essentially, but it's a privatized social service, because it's the idea is we're all going to contribute to this fund, that in case one of us gets hurt or damaged, that there's a fund available.
Right. I think that was sort of the confusion with Obamacare, is like we're trying to increase the risk pool, so that your premiums go down. By have healthy people participate, younger people participate. Don't just buy it when you're old. It's like I mean, look at life insurance. You get it really inexpensively when you're younger
and healthy,
and then when you're in your 50s and 60s, if you go out and try to buy it, now the premium is way, way higher. So I encourage my young associates to get health insurance, get disability insurance, buy those things now, particularly with accruing cash values, because again, the lobby in Washington and Tallahassee is very good, and so they have products that you can use as an investment product as well as a protection for your families. So that's sort of what got me into suing insurance companies, which is what I've been doing for almost 30 years.
So this conversation with this law firm, you said there was something you wanted to come back to.
Oh, yeah.
So
for the first couple of years at my current firm, it was called Brenton Verploeg, PA. Brenton Verploeg being the Verploeg and Marino. And then for about 20 years, it was called Verploeg and Lumpkin. Well, the guys I worked for, one of them had spun off from a law firm.
The guys you worked for when I was
first started, yeah. It was John Allison was one of the guys, and him leaving his law firm made room for a renaming so that Lumpkin could be on the letterhead. So he left, and then Lumpkin's name got on the door of that firm that John Allison left, and then fast forward 5 or 6 years, and then Hugh and I became partners, and the firm became Ploeg and Lumpkin. And then in April of 19, he left, and it became Ploeg and Marino.
Wow. So I'm curious about your pitch to this law firm as a young college age kid, because you
I was like 25. I was like 20. No,
so you already been out working, so you're a second career guy, but you're young.
This is 93. I was 26.
How did you even situate yourself for this pitch? Like, did you resend them a letter and then have an interview, and you came and made this presentation, or
I'd had some job.
Right.
When I was 8 years old.
Right.
Maybe 9. Maybe 9. I went to my dad and I said, I want this radio from the Sears catalog. And he said to me, because he worked at the time, he's working on government grant. We didn't have a whole lot. You know, a lot of my clothes were hand-me-downs, and a lot of my food was very regimented and stuff. And learned to hate store-brand cookies and powdered milk. But he said, well, you got 2 hands, 2 feet, and a brain. Figure out how to make some money, save it, and you can buy that. And I went on a campaign of what can I do to make money? And so from 9 years old on, I had a job, and I went to my dad and said, I want to mow lawns. He said, you're only 9 years old. You're too young. How old do I have to be? Got to be 12 years old. Well, the neighbor kids are 12 years old. I said, what about Bobby and Vinny? They're 12 years old. Can they mow the lawn? Can they use the lawnmower? Dad said, yeah, but it costs, money to run the lawnmower and maintain it. I said, how much? 50 cents a lawn. I said, okay. So I'd go up and down the street, and I'd ask people, can I mow and rake your lawn for you? $10. I gave Vinny or Bobby $5 to mow the lawn. I gave my dad 50 cents to cover the cost of the thing. And I took the $4.50 for raking and just organizing and stuff. And that's just kind of led to a lot of jobs where I'd go in and say, I think I can do this for you. I think it'll cost this much. It's my loss if it costs more. If it costs less, we'll figure out how to make you feel good about it. And just that kind of negotiation always came very easy to me.
Nice.
And so my friend knew the 2 guys who had gone out on their own and said to them, I got somebody you should meet. I think you're looking for a clerk. He's looking to start clerk, and you might have a unique relationship. So that's how the introduction went. And I walked in, I sat down at a table and said, here's the offer I'm going to make you, which I think kind of maybe in retrospect, they kind of were taken aback. They expected to have to make an offer to me, and here I come in, a guy who never...
You turn the tables on them. I like it. So any advice for young aspiring lawyers who are maybe in your shoes? I mean, I don't know that they could even do that now, because they'd send an email that would just get rejected. You can't just walk into a law firm. Or
I told you I was thinking about what we're going to talk about here and why me. But as somebody who's been managing a firm now since end of 2017, early 2018, and looking at what we're looking at now, and I go to Brent and I say to him, when you were running the firm, you had me and a couple of the folks like me who were of my generation. I said, we have a whole different generation now. And I'm not indicting them. I'm observing that their priorities are different than my priorities. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I have as someone who manages a firm with 3, soon to be 4 offices across a bunch of states, is who is your workforce and how do you motivate them and get the most out of them while at the same time maintaining the kind of environment that I grew up in with Brenton and his now deceased wife, God rest her soul. And we have staff been with us 20, 25 years. And I think that's the challenge, is what is important to these young people. And it's hard for me to necessarily give advice to somebody coming out of law school, because I feel like I have to ask them 27 questions about what do you really want? Like, what are you looking for here? Is it, if I'm being crass, do you have some expectation that you should get 6 figures because you graduated law school and got a diploma?
Well, I'm going to push back on a little bit, because we've talked at lunch, and I think some of the views we have are obviously similar. We're of the same generation, right? Of running a law firm. But there are some characteristics of success that we can impart on the younger generation. They may not like it. The individual lawyers, not the whole generation, but they may not like it. They may not want to do it. They may, but there are characteristics. It's not, and I hear you about, well, you want to make 6 figures right out of law school. You want to do it.
I say I'm being crass about it, but
there are some things.
There are questions you have to ask. Because how do I give you directions if I don't know where you're going?
Well, I think that's fair. But again, I think there's a foundation, right? That we would agree there's a foundation that young lawyers need to have in order to be successful?
And I'm going to push back there and say,
that's why we're here.
I would ask those questions to find out what is your definition of success. If it's I had a young man who worked for us say to me, my goal is to make enough money to support my lifestyle. And I thought,
okay.
On the one hand, I appreciate the candor.
Did he want a Bentley?
But
or a Ford?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm teasing.
Right, but
he says his lifestyle. I don't know.
Right, but I mean, like he wanted to enjoy his life, right? I mean, he's presently in-house for an insurance company now because he likes the hours and the pay is enough that it keeps him and his wife happy. But your definition of success
it's 100%
is different, right? And I want to know, again, I go back to, I can't give you directions till I understand where you want to go.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, for me, I would say non-negotiable is like hone your craft. It's non-negotiable if you have aspirations, whatever those are, whether you want to be in-house at an insurance company, whether you want whatever that is, hone that craft. Work hard to hone that craft.
I still think you're imparting onto the listener.
Yeah, tell me.
The thoughts that you want them to have. I see people who I thought could be successful at my firm. They left the firm and they're always posting about horse jumping and happy they have a firm that gives them the time to be a horse jumper or a race car driver or this and that. So I think if I have somebody who says to me, I want to be successful as a lawyer, I want to be a great lawyer, then I know what direction they're going and I understand what suggestions I can make and what conversation we can have.
Fair.
If you just put somebody in front of me in an interview room, I'm going to have to ask them because I don't know anymore.
Well, that's fair.
It's a frustration, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I don't think you can. Yes, I think everyone, each his own, and you have to find out what motivates them and what their interests are. And by the way, that changes, right? I mean, when you're a young lawyer first coming out versus a 10, 12, 20-year lawyer, I mean, things change over time. Circumstances may dictate too, right?
Sure.
But I think it is fair, and that is a fair point to ask, what do you want? Where do you want to go? What do you want?
And I understand completely having... I don't think age gives you wisdom. I think it just gives you perspective. Wisdom's something you have to earn, but at least you can look back at the miles you walked and say, oh, I understand now where the twists and turns are.
Sure.
So if you had asked me when I was 30, I turned 30 in 1997, so I had just been practicing with Brenton for 2 months, and I had been practicing law for less than a year.
Right.
What did I want in the next 10 years? I probably would have given a very dumb answer, certainly not an answer that where I am now, 30 years later, I would give you. Right now, I have a 10-year window. My younger child graduates high school. I'll be 68 years old. My perspective is different. So I don't want to hold anybody to, I'm going to ask you a question now, and for the rest of your career, that's going to be...
It's going to be in blood and stone.
It's going to be set in stone, and that's the only thing.
Right.
But I find fewer and fewer people that I talk to, young lawyers that I talk to, that are really understand what it is to be honing your craft and excited about being a really good lawyer. I struggle with the concept of I want to work remotely because one of the huge benefits I had was being able to walk down the hall to an older partner and say, what am I missing here? Or this is my thought process. What do you think? It's much more difficult. And we find ourselves intentionally scheduling meetings rather than you open your door, you go 2 doors down and you knock and you walk in and, hey, I have this thought on this case and it's in real time and I'm going through it. Maybe there's a skill set that this generation is developing where they know how to organize their thoughts and say, okay, we have a 10 a.m. on Friday meeting for 1 hour with Steve. Let me make sure I ask all these questions. Maybe they're doing that. I don't know. But I think it's harder for me to really visualize being a recipient of the available knowledge of people around you who are more experienced in an environment where you're not interrelating on a regular basis.
So you're running a law firm now. You didn't start it, but you jumped in and you've been running it for a long time. And
I came in on the 2nd anniversary and I've been there
for a long time.
Through its 30th, yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. I don't even know how I would answer this question, but I'm curious how you would answer this question. If you were at that point today, 2nd year, meaning either starting a law firm or starting not over, but starting as a young lawyer again today in the second year of the firm and like looking to build, what would be the first thing you do?
I don't think I would do anything differently. I
So what
think
was the first thing
I
you
got
did?
very lucky to find a mentor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there were some trials and tribulations with the firm I was at that I was doing commercial work with, and I was casting about. I was interviewing with some defense firms, and there was this guy down the hall who was renting space from us because he had just left Chess and Bowen after 23 years, and he had his own firm, and I would talk to him 3 mornings a week over coffee about Neanderthal man and black hole science and the socio-political environment of the United States in the 1960s at the end of the Vietnamese conflict. And I said to him, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what direction to go in. He said, I think the answer is easy. You should just come work for me. That was a godsend.
Right.
I don't know everybody gets that opportunity to have somebody who is, in my view, such an iconic mentor say, just come work with me. And I really would like to think, well, no, I know I'm not, but I would like to be that kind of mentor to some of the young lawyers who have come through my firm. And I think it's a challenge in terms of providing that leadership. And I think that's what you were getting at a minute ago is we have to kind of impart onto these young lawyers at least a loose blueprint for how you build success.
And why do you think you're not? You said I'm not, obviously not that mentor. Why do you think you're not?
Well, I think Brenton's a much different person than I am, and he's a much better person than I am about a lot of things. And
but you can learn from anyone.
You can.
Mentors come in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes mentors are teaching you good lessons. Sometimes they're teaching you what not to do. I mean, it's up to us to learn from who we're around. So I think you're probably mentoring more than you think you are. And obviously you've been running a successful firm for quite some time. So you're doing something right. So I appreciate the humility, but
I think humility is important. I prefer to see myself as a flawed person who's trying to be self-aware.
Well, that's what makes you
successful. Than someone who's
he's doing
everything right.
Sure, we all have flaws, but I mean,
but
that makes you more successful in that you recognize it and figure out ways to not compensate, but to address them, right?
And, sure. And people around you are probably learning just from observing you and your actions. And the other thing I'll say is, I suspect that the generation ahead of us thought the same thing about us. These kids don't want to work same way.
Gen X, man, no way.
Yeah,
no way. We showed up. I worked 18 hours a day.
We showed up and just
I worked for
it.
people that were, billing 3,000 hours.
Of course.
And they all thought I was one of them, like that I was billing 3,000 hours, and I never was billing 3,000 hours. So, no, I did what I needed to do. But I did grow up in a time when I never once looked at we had time entry software. I never looked at that software to see how many hours I billed that day or how many hours that week, or I just would get an annual report. I just did the work. That's it. Did the work
And
as quickly and effectively as I could.
And the hours.
And that was it. I never was like, I billed 8 hours today or 6 hours today. I have to work 2 more hours. It just wasn't even in my...
But I think as a generation, we, Gen X, I think we're all in this room except Christina. Shh, quiet. We're all Gen X in here. And I think that we just figured it out. Like we were left a bit to our own devices. Yeah. And we figured it out. I'm not saying that the generation before us didn't help us. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying.
My point is that there's always a difference.
There's always
a generation always thinks that the next generation is playing something wrong or whatever.
I mean, you look at movies about lawyering in the 80s and 90s and you have The Firm, and you have things like that. And I try to explain
LA Law.
I try to tell my associates, look, you watch that stuff and they used to call them golden handcuffs because they would encourage us to have expensive leases and big mortgages and this and that. And you had to work because you couldn't lose that job because if you missed one paycheck, I mean, you were living this great lifestyle, but it was paycheck to paycheck. Right. And that idea was always abhorrent to me. Yeah. No, 6 weeks ago was the first time I've ever leased a car. First time I've ever not owned a car since I graduated law school.
They leased Ferraris? I didn't know.
No, it's actually, I leased a car from my wife. I drive her old car now. But I have a lot of old cars, so I can't, I don't want to get
we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about hobbies.
Right.
Let's just go right there now. Is there you do collect cars,
So before the wife and kids, I realized that one of the things I was passionate about was like American muscle, was old cars. My dad had a 71 Firebird. My stepmom, when he married her, had a 66 Mustang. I had no idea how cool they were until some kid saw my dad pull up to get me at school and was like, "Oh my God, that's your dad's car?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just our car." "Oh, it's so cool." And I went, "Oh, maybe it is cool, So starting in about 2002, I started collecting from 1964 to 1972. And then in about 2010, because my dad had that Firebird until I was 18. I drove it once and then he sold it and got the family station wagon because now when I about turned 18, I had a baby sister. So she's not quite 18 years younger than me. And we needed a bigger station wagon. So he sold his car. And so in 2010, I searched around and I found almost the same car, but a different color. Brought it down from Idaho to my shop down here in Miami, South Miami, had it restored into the correct color, shipped it up to New York on Christmas Eve, parked it at the mall, took my parents to the mall and said, "Oh, look, Dad, there's your car."
Yeah.
And he said, "No, that's not my car." And we pulled up next to it. And he said, "That's not my car. My car was a 71. This is a 72. I'm like, "No, Dad, it's your car." He said, "No, my car was a stick. This is automatic." And I held the keys out and said, "No, this is your car."
Oh,
You're
cool.
a good son.
Yeah. So
cool.
he had that car for 14 years. And I have it back now, unfortunately. So I have a warehouse up in my house now that I'm going to start populating. But in that time period, through about 2014, so about 14 years, I was going around the country and finding and collecting interesting cars from that time period. So I have about 18 different cars from
That's awesome.
old Fords and Mustangs and GTOs and Firebirds and stuff like that. Fun stuff.
That is fun. It's
I drive them on weekends, or I take them to like judicial events, and everyone's got their BMW and their Porsche, and then I pull up with a '67 GTO, and the valet doesn't want to get out of the car. He's just revving the engine. I'm like, "Come on, get out of the car, kid. You gotta get out."
And
I'm surprised you valet those.
Well, it was a JW. I didn't really have much choice. I couldn't park on the street.
And the bourbon.
The bourbon is a function, I think, of having children, but
that's the drink. But you're also a connoisseur. And
I got involved with some guys who have a bourbon restaurant, and now I actually have a piece of that. But we go to Kentucky 2 or 3 times a year and do barrel picking at various distilleries. I think a month and a half ago we went to Old Forester, and they let us pick a barrel.
Nice.
And so I became kind of a one liquor man, as it were. So
nice.
We'll forgive you.
So, and this is this why you work so hard, so you can enjoy those hobbies?
I don't know if I can tie those two together. I think I enjoy those hobbies because
you got to do them separately.
Yeah, I think I look at them separately.
No, you can't. Right, you can't.
You could.
There's been many a partners meeting where I have my Glencairn with a kind of up-proof, nicer bourbon, and I'm sipping that while everyone's talking, and that's either good or bad. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I would say this, that we are probably the only law firm where the partners, like, we don't have liquor in our offices.
No. I'm okay with that.
No, I'm not saying I'm wrong.
You guys, I mean, you guys have different dietary beliefs, and
I have a drink, as would you, and
yeah,
periodically.
Drink. If I have a drink, it's a drink, right?
Right.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, this is interesting stuff. We're like
those things
I feel like we haven't scratched the surface with you.
Yeah, those things are spin-offs, though. I mean,
of course,
the main thing is I share those things with other people, and I think that helps too.
It's something you enjoy, and you share. It's different than golf or any other.
I'll see a new. I mean, right now, bourbon is so big that you have what they call non-distilling producers. Mm-hmm. There's a company in Indiana that just makes. I mean, bourbon has certain characteristics. One of it has to sit for 4 years in a oak barrel, virgin oak barrel.
Yes.
And there's a company that just makes it, and then it resells it. It sells it to non-distilling producers. NDP, non-distilling producers, who then repackage it, maybe re-age it in a different cask or whatever, and they put their name on it and they sell it. And I'm curious about some of those folks. So every now and then I'll see a new NDP that looks interesting, and I'll buy a couple bottles of it, and I'll tell everybody at the office, hey, at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, if you want to bring a glass in, we're going to open this bottle. some of the ones that are more successful, I'll give to some of my associates and say, here you go, here's a bottle, you can take it home. And
Nice.
yeah, I mean,
They have to bring their own glasses at the end.
well, to my office, to my office. But then, so that and red wine, I share that stuff with people,
Nice.
and I kind of get them involved. And I find that young lawyers aren't necessarily going out and spending $80 or $90 or $100 on a bottle of bourbon.
Yeah.
But then I can
Understandable.
open it up. I find that conversations become a little more fluid. No pun intended. When we're all sitting around sipping some bourbon,
Right.
Nice.
and then
I would say, one would say that might be mentoring.
There you go.
No,
I agree.
I can't lay claim to that. I think we're just
Bring it back and land the
We're
plane.
landing the plane. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review. Steven,
It's been
this
great.
was fun,
Thank you,
man.
Stephen.
Brett, always.
Thanks for having
pleasure.
me.
Christina.
Yes, it is yours. Thank
Pleasure.
you. No,
All
Jeff, it's
mine.
my pleasure.
All
Christina, as
Thank
always,
you.
thank you.
For more information on this show and other resources, visit fastamron.com and connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram @fastamron.